Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're plunging into history, lore, and some really fascinating stories today. Picture this. A ship, the Lady Meredith, totally battered, just barely making it to Old Town Harbor after 3 years out there. The crew, darkened by the sun, whispering about, mythical lands way out west, beyond the Sunset Sea. But the truth of that journey? Well, it was maybe more terrifying than any myth. Today, we're really getting into the reign of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne Targaryen. It's often seen as this golden age, right? Prosperity, peace. But our sources, the histories and accounts we've looked at, they show a different side too. Deep personal tragedies, incredibly ambitious, maybe reckless ventures and challenges that shook the whole kingdom. We've got quite a bit to unpack.
Exactly. And that's our mission today, really. To sift through all this history, pull out the key insights, the stuff you need to know. We want to give you a shortcut to understanding this pivotal time. There's some surprising facts in here, some real aha moments about power, human nature, and just enough intrigue to leave you feeling, properly informed.
Okay, so let's start with that voyage west. It began with such high hopes, didn't it? But then, ambition, terror, survival.
It's pretty striking, the sheer audacity of it all. These early explorations, they were driven by this massive desire to map the unknown, find riches, but honestly, they were completely unprepared for what was out there.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Pushing forward with big ideas.
Yeah, often ignoring the warning signs. Sir Eustace Hightower, he pushed farther west than anyone had before and actually returned.
The first thing seemed okay. Smooth sailing, celebrations.
Right. But then came this really unsettling detail. 4 whole days without seeing a single bird. What do you make of that?
Oof, that feels ominous.
Exactly. And that's where maybe optimism or maybe arrogance blinds people. They brush it off. The Septons say pride goes before a fall, and you really see it play out here.
What happened next?
Well, the wind just died. For a fortnight. Then maggots in the food, the sky turning blood red, just one bad sign after another. And then these monstrous storms hit. The crew, terrified, screaming, "Kraken, Kraken!" as one of the other ships, the Autumn Moon, went down. Took Eustace's brother and 9 other men with it, just gone.
Wow, the psychological impact. Blending natural disaster with, mythical horror.
Absolutely. But even after that, another explorer, Lady Westhill, she found 3 small islands, uninhabited.
And she wanted to keep going west, even after the Kraken.
She did. She was convinced there was more out there. But Eustace's crew? No way. They were traumatized. They refused point blank, said they'd rather just take the immediate treasures from the islands. Spices, strange fruits, these big, slow lizards.
That was that conflict, isn't it? The explorer's ambition versus the crew's fear, their need for survival.
Totally. For those men, survival and tangible wealth right there, that was everything. Forget pushing further into the terrifying unknown. It's a very human reaction.
And getting back wasn't easy for Eustace either, right?
Not at all. Headwinds, a steersman losing his leg after a lizard bite. It turned green. They had to remove it. And then, get this, a leviathan, something bigger than their ship, cracked the Lady Meredith's hull.
Seriously, a leviathan?
That's what the accounts claim. Forced them to divert all the way to Sothorios. They spent a year there repairing the ship and discovering a whole different kind of hell.
What was Sothorios like?
Well, the sources paint a grim picture. Strange creatures.
Cool.
Monkeys that walk like men, men that howl like monkeys, apparently.
Sure.
Wyverns, basilisks, tons of snakes, men just disappearing, and these horrific diseases.
Diseases.
Yeah, from flies that made your skin slough off, made you bleed from, everywhere. And freshwater worms laying eggs inside people.
Ugh.
They ended up desperately relying on help from summer islanders just to survive.
It really shows the cost, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The deadly price of discovery and trade in places like that. It wasn't just about gold.
Not at all. It was this brutal grind against nature, against disease, against the unknown, and the human suffering was immense.
And Lady Westhill, the one who wanted to keep going west.
Her ship, the Sun Chaser, just vanished, sailed west, and was never seen again.
Wow.
Well, except decades later, Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake, he claimed he saw its wreckage way over in Ashai by the Shadow.
No way. That's incredible. A real haunting mystery.
Definitely.
Okay, so shifting from the dangers of the sea to a different kind of terror, something colder, closer to home, the winter of 5960 AC, exceptionally cruel, apparently, and with it came the shivers.
Yes, the shivers. This really highlights how fragile even a well-run kingdom can be. Its thought came from overseas, carried by rats on ships, probably black rats, hit the port cities first. But it didn't stay localized. It quickly became this widespread catastrophe across all seven kingdoms, showed how vulnerable they were.
And the disease itself sounds terrifying.
Oh, it was. Started with just a chill, but then escalated fast. Violent shivering, teeth chattering, lips turning blue, coughing blood. Death often came within a day. Only about 1 in 5 people who caught it actually recovered.
Did the maesters? Could they do anything?
They knew the symptoms, yes, but the cause, the cure, completely unknown. And that must have been terrifying for people back then. They tried everything. Hot mustard plasters, wine laced with snake venom, bathing in literally boiling water.
Boiling water.
Yes, eating raw fish, bloody meat, even drinking animal blood. It shows the desperation, doesn't it? What happens when your smartest people, your healers, are helpless?
The impact must have been devastating. All levels of society.
Everywhere. Famine hit the north hard, stories of old men walking out into the snow to die, to leave food for the young. Food prices went through the roof everywhere. And in King's Landing, chaos. The city watch was hit hard by the sickness, so lawlessness just took over.
That breakdown of society, it's frightening.
It is, and when key figures died, like Grand Maester Benefer, it created power vacuums, more chaos, which led to things like the horrific murder of Lord Rego Draz, the Master of Coin. He was Pentoshi, an outsider.
And they blamed him for the bread prices.
Exactly. An angry mob dragged him from his palanquin in Flea Bottom, beat him with stones, crushed his skull, even cut off his fingers for his rings. Just brutal.
Wow. How did the king react to that?
Jaehaerys, swift and incredibly harsh, he rode down himself to claim the body. Then he had the killers rounded up, hung from the walls of the Red Keep, and publicly disemboweled, declared them lower than rats. It was a very stark message.
Reasserting control in the most brutal way possible.
Pretty much. It was something he could fight, unlike the disease. A show of force when he felt helpless elsewhere.
But amidst all that horror, Alysanne showed a different side.
Yes, the queen, the young girl who actually informed on the killers. Alysanne took her in, gave her a place in the castle, safety, warmth, compassion even then.
But then, the plague hit the royal family directly.
The worst blow imaginable for them. Their daughter, Princess Daenerys, only 6 years old. She caught the shivers. Reading about the attempts to save her is just heartbreaking. Prayers, special poultices, those scalding baths again, a wet nurse trying to warm her. They brought in 100 rat catchers to cleanse the castle. The king even frantically ordered a dragon hatchling flown in from Dragonstone, hoping its warmth.
Did it help?
No, none of it mattered. After a day and a half, the little princess died.
How devastating.
And Daenerys' death, shivering just like any common child. It completely shattered that Targaryen belief, the doctrine of exceptionalism, this idea that they were different, immune, with fire in their blood. Her death forced Jaehaerys and Alysanne to face this awful truth. Maybe, just maybe, they were only human after all.
That's a huge realization. The limits of their power, their supposed divinity, gone.
A profound moment, yes.
So the shivers did eventually pass, but it left scars. Jaehaerys, though the sources say he had a sadder heart, he turned back to ruling, to rebuilding.
Yeah, this next phase really shows his leadership, his strategic mind. He had to rebuild his council first. So many key people lost. Finding competent replacements wasn't easy. He had to look in some, unexpected places.
Like with the Master of Coin position.
Exactly. He chose Martin Tyrell. Now, the Tyrells didn't exactly have a reputation for being financial geniuses. Dolts, some called them.
So why him?
The deciding factor. His wife, Lady Florence Fossaway. Apparently, she was incredibly clever with finances, nicknamed the Apple Counter. She'd massively increased the Tyrell fortunes.
The Apple Counter. I love that.
It shows Jaehaerys being open to unconventional ideas, and probably, Alysanne's influence. The source notes the king mused, Alysanne would like that.
A great example of that quiet power behind the throne, recognizing talent wherever you find it.
Definitely. And speaking of Alysanne, after all that sorrow, she conceived again. Princess Alyssa was born a healthy, lively baby.
A bit of light after the darkness.
For sure. Though apparently, as a baby, she looked so much like the lost Daenerys it made the queen weep. But Alyssa grew up quite different, tomboyish, long-faced, mismatched eyes. More like her father's side.
Life goes on, grief and renewal side by side.
And then Jaehaerys launches this massive project, The Great Roads.
Ah, yes, the roads. How did that come about?
He was flying on Vermithor, his dragon, looking down at the kingdom, and all he saw were these pathetic ruts, game trails, not proper roads. He came back, apparently slammed the table in council, and just declared, "My lords, I will have roads."
You can just picture it.
Right. And the significance, you really can't overstate it. The existing paths were terrible, dangerous, disconnected. His vision was huge. Bind the land together and make of 7 kingdoms one. It was tangible, something he could build.
Unlike fighting the Shivers.
Exactly. He even said something like, "Against the Shivers, I was helpless. Against the Vulture," referring to an earlier conflict, "I was a king again." Building roads let him be king again, exert control, leave a legacy.
And the scale was enormous, wasn't it? The King's Road, others.
Huge. The King's Road alone, connecting the capital to the wall, longest to most expensive, plus the Rose Road, Ocean Road, Gold Road, all managed financially by Martin Tyrell and his very capable apple counter wife, laying foundations for centuries.
So the kingdom's healing, building.
Yeah.
But the royal family itself, they still had struggles, especially with the children.
Oh, absolutely. Their story is just so human. Royal status didn't protect them from difficult personalities, family clashes, the weight of being a Targaryen.
You see that early on with Vagon and Daella.
Definitely. They were born close together, and Jaehaerys and Alysanne hoped, they might marry eventually. Like their older siblings, Balon and Alyssa, who were very close. But Vagon and Daella, total mismatch. He was sour, bookish, thought she was stupid. She was terrified of him, called him mean.
That sounds tense.
It culminated in Vagon just publicly humiliating Daella, which led to their sister Alyssa, apparently quite fiercely protective, pouring a cup of wine right over Vagon's head in front of everyone.
Good for her.
It really shows those internal dynamics, doesn't it? And how hard it is for parents, even royal ones, to force their kids' paths.
What happened with Vagon in the end?
He refused knighthood, wasn't suited for it. It was actually Grand Maester Alysar who bluntly suggested the Citadel. And Vagon thrived there, became an archmeister, found his place in books, not battles.
And Daella. You mentioned she was timid.
Chronically timid, frightened of everything, cats, horses, dragons, apparently even a Summer Islander ambassador in a feathered cloak. She thought he was a demon.
Oh, poor girl.
She wasn't academically gifted either, struggled with reading, prayers. But everyone agreed she was sweet, kind, just terribly shy and fearful.
How did her parents handle that?
Differently. Alysanne fiercely defended her. Not every Targaryen needs to wield a sword and ride a dragon, she'd say. But Jaehaerys, he was exasperated, famously said 100 naked ducks would frighten her.
You can feel the pressure on her, though. A princess needing a match.
Immense pressure. Her courtships were, well, disastrous. Got seasick sailing with Corlys Velaryon, cried when a squire kissed her without permission, rejected Royce Blackwood because his family followed the old gods.
It sounds painful.
Yeah, Jaehaerys got desperate as she approached 16, demanded she had to marry someone, anyone, before the year's end.
So who did she choose?
This is the surprising part. She chose Lord Roderick Arryn. He was way older, like 20 years older, balding, bit of a belly, already had 4 kids.
Not exactly the dashing prince.
Not at all, but Daella's reason. He seems good and wise, like father, and she was genuinely excited about being a mother to his existing children.
Oh. So kindness and stability mattered more to her.
It seems so, a really poignant choice. But tragically, her happiness didn't last.
Oh no, what happened?
About a year and a half later, she got pregnant, sent this terrified letter to Alysanne. "Mother, please come, I am frightened."
Did Alysanne go?
Rushed to the Eyrie immediately, but it was too late. Daella died in childbirth. She was only 18. She did give birth to a daughter, though Emma Arryn. Oh, that's heartbreaking. 18.
It absolutely devastated Alysanne. The sources say it tore the heart out of the queen, and this is where we see the first hint of the rift between her and Jaehaerys.
Because she blamed him.
In her grief, yes. She blamed him for pushing Daella into marriage too young. A deep personal wound was open there.
So much personal loss, even while the kingdom seemed stable. But they still had their dragons, their military might.
Oh, yes. And the Fourth Dornish War, sometimes called Prince Morian's Madness, was a stark reminder of that.
What happened there?
Prince Morian Martell, trying to avenge his father's perceived cowardice from previous wars, decided to invade the Stormlands by sea. He even brought scorpions, thinking he could fight dragons with them.
That sounds ill-advised.
Completely.
No.
And Jaehaerys knew all about it. Spies everywhere.
So what was the Targaryen response? Swift, decisive, overwhelming. Jaehaerys, his sons Aemon and Balon, On Vermithor, Caraxes, and Vagar, they just descended from the clouds, incinerated Morian's entire fleet before it even reached the coast, burned them like 100 candles floating on the sea. Not one Dornishman set foot ashore alive.
Wow. A war won in a single day.
Exactly. And for Jaehaerys, it was potent. A display of power, of agency. That feeling of being helpless during the shivers was gone. He told Septon Barth afterwards, "Against the vulture, I was a king again." He needed that.
But the personal losses kept coming, didn't they?
Relentlessly. Balin and Alyssa, the couple everyone loved, they had 2 sons, Viserys and Daemon, but then Alyssa died in childbirth at just 24, delivering a 3rd son who also died.
Another queen lost to childbirth.
And Alysanne herself lost 2 more infant sons, Gaemon and Valerian. They were sickly, died young. She eventually just sounded resigned, saying, "I am more suited to be a grandmother than a mother now."
So just constant grief. How did they bear it?
It's hard to imagine. It reminds us just how brutal life was then, even for the absolute elite. Dragonfire couldn't stop disease or the dangers of childbirth.
Was there any more joy? Any more children who survived?
There was one more. Princess Gale, born when Alysanne was 44. They called her the Winter Child. She was small, frail at first, but they nursed her to health. She became a quiet comfort to Alysanne in her later years. A fragile hope, perhaps.
Okay, now, the sources mention a particularly difficult chapter. Princess Sarah.
Ah, yes, Sarah. Described as maybe the most troubling and distasteful part of the reign. A child who apparently made even Arya Targaryen, who stole a dragon and flew to Valyria, look well-behaved.
That's saying something. What's she like?
Brilliant, apparently. Very intelligent, but also incredibly wild, demanding, jealous of her older siblings who got more attention. She sought that attention through mischief, escalating to outright cruelty. Using her sharp mind for trouble, not wisdom. Her own septa called her an evil child.
What kind of trouble?
Oh, sneaking cats and bees into poor Diela's room, knowing her fears. Dyeing the Kingsguard's white cloaks pink. Stealing wine, showing up drunk to prayers, and this really cruel jape on the king's fool, Tom Turnip. Persuaded him to perform naked, then climb the actual Iron Throne. He fell, got severely injured, just wanting cruelty.
That's beyond mischief. As she got older.
She became a young woman, very charming, manipulative, had lots of young men around her, but 3 favorites, Jonah Mooton, Roy Connington, and Braxton Beesbury, nicknamed Stinger. Alysanne apparently mistrusted Stinger Beesbury from the start, noted his reputation for fathering bastards.
Or shadowing. What happened next? The Blue Pearl incident.
Right. It started with Tom Turnip again, being humiliated at a brothel. But the investigation uncovered something much bigger. This whole secret world Sarah had created with 2 female friends, Perianne and Alice, involved kissing games, sexual experimentation with those 3 young lords, and the bombshell. Alice Turnberry was pregnant, and she had no idea which of the 3 lords was the father.
Oh boy. How did Sarah react when this all came out?
Defiantly. First denied everything. Then a flood of excuses, justifications, blaming everyone else. And finally, this absolutely shocking, contemptuous confession. Told her horrified parents, "I gave it to all 3. They all think they were the first. Boys are such silly fools." She even compared herself favorably to Maegor the Cruel's many wives.
I can't even imagine Jaehaerys' reaction.
The sources say he was speechless with rage, horrified. Alysanne struggled to keep her composure. It wasn't just scandal, it was this profound betrayal of everything they stood for, of the royal image itself. Shame.
So punishment must have followed.
Swift and severe. Soraya was confined. She tried to escape, even tried to steal a dragon, which landed her in a tower cell.
And the others involved.
Braxton Stinger Beesbury demanded a trial by combat against the accusation he'd forced himself on Alice. Jaehaerys himself met him in the yard, killed him with Blackfire, the Valyrian steel sword, right through the eye slit of his helm.
The king himself fought him.
Yes, shows the depth of his personal shame and anger. The other lords faced different fates. Jonah Mooton married Perianne. Roy Connington chose exile rather than marry Alice, calling her child Stinger's bastard. Alice was sent away, had a girl with red hair, and was later married off to a minor lord.
And Sarira. What was her ultimate punishment?
Jaehaerys decided to send her to Old Town to become a novice with the Silent Sisters under the watchful eye of Septa Miguel, who was actually Jaehaerys' sister, meant as a harsh lesson in humility and piety.
Did it work?
Not a chance. Sarah wasn't the pious type. She eventually escaped the mother house too, made her way across the narrow sea to Lyce.
And what became of her there?
She used her wits, her charm, maybe some stolen jewels, and became incredibly wealthy, ended up as the proprietor of a famous, or maybe infamous, pleasure garden in Lyce, never return.
Wow, so when Alysanne later wept, saying they have made our daughter into a whore.
Jaehaerys' reply was brutal. She always was. He completely cut her off emotionally.
A truly tragic story. A bright mind just gone wrong. Failures in parenting, maybe? A spirit too wild for their time?
All of the above, probably. Complex and sad.
And Sarira wasn't the last difficult daughter, was she? There was Visera, too.
Right. Princess Visera. Younger than Sarira, but just as beautiful and apparently even more vain and sly. She loved attention too, played boys against each other, dared them to do stupid things like stick their heads in a dragon's mouth. But her ambition was higher.
What was her goal?
She wanted to be queen. Specifically, she set her sights on marrying her older brother Balon, who was heir to the throne after Aemon's death, and recently widowed. Unlike Sarah's games, Visera was calculated. She actually tried to seduce Balon. He found her drunk and naked in his bed one night.
Seriously, how did that go down?
Balon was furious, dragged her straight to their parents. Queen Alysanne was absolutely against the match. She quickly arranged for Visera to marry someone else, Lord Theomore Manderly of White Harbor. Much older, very powerful, very far away.
Visera must have hated that.
Despised it. On the night before she was due to leave King's Landing, she made one last desperate bid for freedom, or maybe just defiance. Traded clothes with a serving girl, snuck out of the Red Keep, met up with some friends for one last night of laughter.
This doesn't sound like it ends well.
It didn't. They ended up drunkenly racing horses through the city streets at night. Visera was thrown from her horse, hit a wall, broke her neck, died instantly.
Just like that. Senseless.
A terribly stark, sudden end. And for Alysanne, another devastating blow. That was 3 daughters lost in just 5 years. Daella in childbirth, Alyssa in childbirth, and now Visera in this reckless accident. The grief was piling up.
You mentioned a rift between the king and queen after Daella's death. Did these later tragedies worsen it?
Immensely. The cumulative weight, the dead daughters, the shame of Sarah, it drove this profound wedge between them, led to what the histories call the first quarrel.
What was the specific trigger for that?
It came back to Sarah. Alysanne, heartbroken and perhaps feeling guilty, had been secretly keeping tabs on Sarah in lists through merchants. Eventually, she couldn't bear it anymore. She went to Jaehaerys, begged him to forgive Sarah, to bring her home, appealed to his love, his duty as a father.
How did Jaehaerys respond this time?
Harshly, very harshly. He refused, point blank, called Sarah that Lyseni whore. Even crudely asked Alysanne how she thought Sarah paid for her passage and her life there.
Ouch.
He forbade Alysanne from trying to bring her back, even warned her not to dare go herself. His final words on it were just ice cold. She is dead, bury her.
That's cutting deep.
It was a fundamental break. Alysanne didn't go to Liz, but the sources say she never quite forgave the king for the words he spoke that day. The hurt went too deep.
So what did she do?
She left court, withdrew completely, returned to Dragonstone alone to grieve and live apart from him. For 2 years, they were estranged.
2 years. That's significant. What about Jaehaerys?
He carried on, ruling, overseeing the road building, doing his progresses. Visibly aged now, people started calling him the Old King. He was grieving too, in his own way, and apparently remained completely faithful to Alysanne, turning away any women who tried to console him.
Did they ever reconcile?
Eventually, yes. It was actually Septa Maegel, Jaehaerys' sister and Sarah's former minder, who brokered a reconciliation between them. They did come back together, had a period of closeness again.
But the damage was done.
The story of their later years feels like enduring love, yes, but overshadowed by these immense, unhealed wounds. Alysanne's health declined physically. She lost her hearing, became too frail to fly Silverwing, and the losses continued. Their daughter Maegel, the Septa, died of grayscale. And then the final, perhaps cruelest blow.
What was that?
Princess Gale, the Winter Child, their youngest, Alysanne's constant companion in her old age. She seemed sweet, simple, maybe a bit sad. She vanished from court one day. Later, it was revealed she'd secretly given birth to a stillborn child, fathered by a traveling singer who then abandoned her. And in her grief and shame, Gale walked into the sea and drowned herself.
Oh, that's just unbearable.
It was the final blow for Alysanne. She noted bleakly that of the 13 children she'd borne, only 3 survived her. Dale's death broke her remaining spirit. She died not long after.
What an incredibly long reign, filled with so much light and shadow.
Truly remarkable. Grand ambitions, nation-building, prosperity, alongside plague, unimaginable loss, the raw power of dragons, and these deeply, deeply personal family struggles.
Their reign is remembered, isn't it? Jaehaerys the Conciliator, Alysanne the Good Queen, the roads, the laws, the compassion.
Definitely. One of the longest, most prosperous reigns, but beneath that legacy, so much pain and that shattering of their own belief in Targaryen exceptionalism. They learned they were vulnerable, human, just like everyone else.
So thinking about all this, what's the takeaway for us, for you listening? They had immense power, wisdom, dragons, love, yet they faced constant, relentless heartache. Their children suffered, died, went astray in ways they couldn't control. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the real burdens of a long time on the throne? Does ultimate power ever truly shield anyone from the deepest pains of just being human or the unpredictable fates of the people you love most? Something to think about.